starting with a new series on C programming, which will be which is very important for beginners in coding. The C language is very important for logic building. So let's get started. So I'll just make a new file calling intro.c. When we talk about programming, it's programming. It is a way, it is a way to communicate with the computer. Just like how we talk to our friends, we communicate with them. That's the same goes for programming. When we say about languages like Hindi, English, it's a way. It's a way to communicate to human to human, human to human. But talk about when we talk about computers, they talk we talk to them in languages, like we talk to them in languages C, C++, Python, Java, so many languages there. So this one is human to computer. It is a way to communicate human to computers. So, oh my god. Just like how we talk to each other in Hindi English, the same we do to computers with programming languages. We communicate with them. So why are we starting with C? Why C? Why are we starting with C? The answer is C is the oldest, one of the oldest and fastest language. So C is the oldest and the fastest. Well, the oldest is assembly, but that goes on like it's very hard to understand. Then comes C. When after that, there were made many languages after C, C sharp, C++, Java, Python. Also, Python has some parts written, the initial parts were written in C. So C is fastest because it works, it talks directly to computer. It talks directly to computer and has a compiler that translates for us to understand what is going behind, what is happening behind the box. So we get to know why C, then we also get to know what is C. C was the language that was developed by Dennis Ritchie in USA in 1972. Dennis Ritchie made this language and developed this language and published it in 1972. There are multiple uses of C in parts of Windows, Linux, and operating systems were developed in C. Then C C also works as a driver driver language. It updates drivers for it is still being used for ovens, microwave, yeah, ovens, or you can say microwave and cameras. C language has embedded system where program need to run faster in limited memory. That is why we use C in ovens and cameras because it requires very less memory. And whereas if you use other languages, they require higher memory to initialize the code. To start with the code, C is also used for game because also used for games because in game you need faster latency, low latency. One needs low latency to play games, and C is fastest. So many do use C, but the modern games are being used. The modern games are built on C++. Unreal Engine that you might have heard of is based on C. Unreal Engine is based on C++. Yeah. So whenever the need is to be very less latency, the best languages are C, C++ there. So to install C, to install C, we need a code editor and a compiler that will be MinGW. MinGW. So if you want a setup guide, you can comment down. For setup, comment setup. Now in the next video, I'll provide a setup guide. So let's start with the programming itself. When we start with the programming, we usually start with a code that is print hello world in every coding language there. So we start with print hello world. So this is nothing but a starting phase line syntax that you will use in every part. I'll make it understand in the upcoming videos what this is, how does this work. For starting, we can say it is a syntax that will be important. So I wrote printf, put brackets there, upper commas, and then I will write hello world. I am learning C. Then you'll pay and run code. Then you'll see hello world, I'm learning C. So this is the first thing we do while we start learning a language. This is working. Then we'll start with one more basic thing we do. It's variables. So variables are a storage point where you can store anything as putting it as x, y, a, b, c, anything you want. For example, I put a is equal 3, You can put 21, anything like that. Then you might say int a is equal 21 printf. For example, I'll write it down. Int a is equal 21 printf percentage d comma a. Then I'll put access. Okay, so here this shows 21. So you can store a value in the variables as you may like. If you put float, say float just means a number which is decimal, which is in decimal. So here I try, here I write float a is equal to 2.1. So if you put f, so floats, percentage f signifies float. So when you run the code, it shows 2.1000. If you put 0.2, so it will only show 2 after the decimal. If you put 1 point f, it will show 1. So when we write float a, you can also type here float when you're taking float here. This just works as a syntax. If you write it inside this, it will work the same. So when I write float a, I'm assigning a value to a, that is 2.1, and then I say print this value 0.1 brackets percentage 0.1f. This just makes the number after the decimal. When I put 1.1, it only gives me one value after the decimal. When I say 2, it gives me two values after the decimal. When I don't put anything, I just write percentage f, it will give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 values after decimal. So here you can see how that works. Then you can store values like 21 in int. You can store it in int. Store it in int. You can store values like 3.1, 3.2 in float. Then you can also assign character values by doing this. Z is equal, oh, so this works as char. When I put char here and put a, it will print capital A. For example, if I write it here, but I need to put commas or it will show an error. Char, and I'll put C here, and you can see it works. It is showing A. Thank you. I think that's it for the video. We'll learn more in the upcoming videos. There are multiple keywords that you might need to understand in the upcoming videos, but 3 are very important. That is int, float, char. And the first program we are learning is printf hello world. Thank you. That's it for the video. Oh man. Okay, I didn't comment this out. When I run this again, hello. So I hope you understood some of those points and understood why are we learning C for our first language. Thank you.